The story goes like this: God said, "Let there be life." Then he created Adam, and thinking that he would be alone in this Garden of Eden, he created Eve from the rib of Adam. A tissue was taken to create another individual, another human being, one human being from the another. So it's nothing but cloning. So this is very interesting when we discuss about the mythologies, particularly the Indian mythologies. Many things equates to today's technological advances. I'll give you example. In Ramayana and Mahabharata, there are lots of these sort of examples. Whenever during the period of Ramayana and Mahabharata, a monarch or a king didn't have his heir, so he usually performed elaborate yagnas, and in these the Brahmins used to come and they used to make a rice pudding, a bowl of rice pudding, which was then taken up, eaten by the queens, and then they delivered or became pregnant with multiple pregnancies. Now these Brahmins were nothing but, at that time actually, the medicine was under the domain of the Brahmins, and the Brahmins were nothing but fertility specialists. This rice pudding, which we call payasam, is nothing but a vehicle to transmit the medicines which would cause induction of ovulation. Even the modern medicines which we use for induction of ovulation causes multiple pregnancies. So you can see these similarities. Or you can also see in cases of Pandavas. Pandu was not a very potent person, so many gods came and helped Kunti to have her children. Now, it is nothing but maybe, if you can pardon me, sort of an insemination from some higher beings. So these are the gods. I'm not saying that I'm not going to follow this Eric von Daniken's theory that gods were nothing but higher individuals came from space and made made the humans jump from ape to human, jump to become a much more better apes or super ape. Now, these technological things which we are now seeing, like human cloning is a fact. I have written a novel on that. um, there have been strict guidelines about these fertility treatments and how many embryos you can put inside a woman's womb and all those things, and especially particularly cloning. Human cloning is illegal across the globe. But there would be always renegade scientists who would give a damn about the laws, and they will break the laws at every turn of the road for their own ego or for monetary benefits. So there are fertility clinics across the globe who are brilliant to lead to ovulation and successful pregnancies. Some have strict regulations. For example, in Manchester, in UK, the state-governed fertility clinic didn't enlist a woman who is over 35 years of age. But you can go to US and there are plenty of clinics. If you have enough money, they won't ask you whether you're husband or wife. They will just try to make you successfully pregnant. So if you have this has coined the term reproductive tourism. Now, if you have enough money, just go visit the Grand Canyon, have a conducted tour of the Oval Office, and come back with an extra baggage that is a baby. As I said, the human cloning has been established. How do the cloning happen? It's a simple procedure. Uh, yes, I talk, it's called simple, but the technology has made it quite simple. Those who have the means and at the lab like that, it's not very difficult. You take a cell and strip off the DNA material, the nucleus from that cell and take a nucleus or the DNA material from another tissue whom you want to clone and put it into this cell and then put an electric current and it will multiply, and that new cell which will form another individual will be exactly a carbon copy of the person from whom the nucleus or the DNA material has been taken and implanted into another cell. Uh, so this is for narcissistic and those who have enough money. This is a very interesting phenomenon, extraordinary, uh, I would say, chance to leave behind a carbon copy of themselves. Maybe they may not be that identical because they would be put in a different womb, and after the birth, the environment may be different. So there would be some differences, but physically and other few other aspects, it would be a carbon copy of the individual whom the cloning has been done. Though what I said just now would be completely illegal. But if you clone cells from a stem cell and make a copy of the organ, if somebody has a defective organ suffering from a disease where one of the organs has been damaged, then you can make an organ, a copy of that organ, and implant to that person. Now, this technology, when developed, will eradicate many diseases from this world. But on the other hand, this may lead to a confrontation between the massively powerful pharmaceutical giants and uh, these doctors, because these pharmaceutical giants invest millions and billions of dollars to make medicines for these particular diseases. So if the diseases just disappear from the face of earth, they would suffer from a huge loss. Like there had been a severe fight between the tobacco companies and the government of US. Now, apart from this giving life, there has been advances in taking of life, terminating life. Now, abortion is now legal in many countries. In UK, the Abortion Act was devised in 1967. India was not lagging behind. It formulating its own act in 1971, which became effective from 1972. Now, these acts have the clauses which are so extensive in nature that they can take up any ground for termination of pregnancy if the mother or the couple wishes so. Now, more and more medicines and technologies being discovered to terminate a life. It's become easy. Becoming much better for the mother because previously, when it was illegal, the mothers used to go to quacks, and many mothers lost their lives through illegal means. And India is exploding now with population. So when this act came up in India, there was not much of protests against it. So so this act has become a boon for many mediocre gynecologists who perform abortions, and their bread and butter had become doing terminations of pregnancy. But in US, it's not so easy, and in Catholic backgrounds, they don't do terminations. Like when I was in England, the Catholic consultants didn't want to do, or they didn't do any termination of a pregnancies. In US also there is a very serious anti-abortion lobby, and it's always been a fight between the legal rights of the mother and of the unborn fetus. So there has been debates who reigns supreme, whose rights reign supreme, is the mother or this unborn fetuses. In US, there was an anti-abortion lobby. They made a website and they printed the names of the doctors who cause terminations, who usually was involved in terminating pregnancies. And one of these doctors were killed by a sniper's bullet while he was making coffee in his clinic. And then on the next day, in the website, a line was drawn to the name of this doctor. So this sort of drastic things can happen in certain countries. For example, in UK it is legal, in Ireland is not legal to have termination. So when a Irish teenager was once brought to England for terminating her pregnancy, then there was a huge uproar in her native country. But what about selection of life? Much more controversial. Once a doctor in Kolkata was approached by an officer of government revenue department, and for known reason, the doctors always try to please these officers. This man wanted a boy baby. He has three daughters. There is no way you can select. It's a chance whether it would be a boy or a girl. Only there is a technology known as pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, where you create embryos and then you find out which of the embryos of which sex, and if you particular sex you want, you can implant in the mother's womb. This is not legal in India. In Israel, somebody who has three or four babies of the same sex can go for this pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, and they can choose the gender of their babies. This is legal there. Now, in India, the problem is there is a perverted desire to have boy babies. And so, when the technology of ultrasound came, and it usually picked up the gender of the babies quite easily, if it's usually about around 20 weeks from, even before that with good machines. I'll talk about a little bit about these ultrasound machines. Ultrasound previously were used in naval domains to find out the depth of the sea or where a submarine is lurking. Now, Professor Ian Donald of Scotland was a brilliant mind, and he thought that a sub and a human fetus floating inside the amniotic fluid is so similar. So this technology can be used in obstetrics, and he was the father of obstetric USG, and we have come a long way. When I was in college, I couldn't understand what this ultrasound machines were showing on their screen, but nowadays it's like a movie. 3D 4D machines can tell you and show you the baby in such distinct pictures. And definitely it can detect the sex of the baby. So it's very difficult. If one what people tend to do is that when they diagnose a female fetus, they go for female feticide. Now, to diagnose the gender of the baby is totally illegal in India. The ultrasonologist will be jailed for life if he does so. But having said that, if somebody just travels to Thailand, the ultrasonologist will tell the sex of the baby, because it's illegal there, nothing illegality, and they don't have these sort of perverted attitude towards male fetuses. There are, though this ultrasound may miss a diagnosis, it's not 100% correct, but there are other methods like amniocentesis, chorionic villus biopsy, which can detect with 100% accuracy whether this baby is male or a female. Again, these are, when these tests are done for any disease in the fetus, and the sex of the baby or the gender of the baby is never disclosed. That is totally illegal in the Indian law. So they were bringing life, taking life. The science and technology is advancing beyond the human capabilities, beyond the moral aptitude, our development. It's advancing fast forward, so we have to cope with it. And the cloning, as I said, and cloning, on cloning, if any DNA material, fossilized DNA material is available, we can bring back that species, even if it is extinct now, back to life, on which Spielberg's Jurassic Park movie is based. So it's a brave new world. It has huge consequences, both fascinating and frightening. It can be a devastating catastrophe for a nation which is not prepared for these kinds of technological advances. Please think about it. If you like these sorts of talks and my channel, please subscribe. I would be delighted.